Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer board game review. And today's game up on the tabletop is Tour de Colligo by Colligo Collective. This is a 3 to 5 player game. Takes roughly about 45 minutes to an hour and a half to play. And in the game, you are playing as a cyclist group. You're going to be playing as 4 cyclists attempting to move from the starting line across a field all the way to the finish. And basically, as your bikes cross the finish line, you're going to be placed on this kind of pedestal here, going from first all the way down to up to 16th place, scoring points for each bike that you get across the finish line and when. On your turn, you'll start with a number of cards in your hand that all have a value on them. You'll draw cards from the deck, and then you will take one of the actions in the game, whether it be to move a singular bike or to move a peloton, which is a group of bikes, exchanging your cards for draft, climbing, and sprinting cards, or exchanging your draft card for some of your draft tokens to move your pelotons, your group of bikes. And you will end. Draw, play an action, and pass. And you'll keep doing this up until all the bikes get across the finish line. Once that happens, the game is over. You'll score up and see who wins. Let's take a look at how to set the game up, how to play, and of course, my review. To begin setup for the game Tour de Colligo, the first thing that you're going to do is you are going to take out the main game mat and place it within reach of all players. From there, you're going to take the draft board and place it on the game board or next to it in some way, shape, or form. Place the draft, climb, and sprint cards in their respective location based on the number of players. And I'm playing a 3-player game here, so you'll have a number of sprint, climb, and draft equal to that player base. You're also going to take a number of tokens based on the players and place them in this little pile here. In this case, we have 3 players, so we'll take 7 draft tokens and place them in here. Then you're going to take these boards, these little boards that you'll be placing on your mat here. I have a climb board and I have 2 sprint boards, and you can place them wherever you want. And in this case, I kind of spread them out on the game area so that there's kind of a difference in where you're going to be utilizing these. And you could place them as early or as late on the game board as you want, or mix them and match them. It's really up to you. Once you've done that, you're going to take the main deck, you'll shuffle it, place it within reach of all players. I would suggest right here on this little exclamation point or this little lightning symbol. And everybody is then going to take cyclists. They're going to take a reference on your turn card. They're also going to be taking a player reference color. In this case, I'm playing as blue, so I have this. Red is playing as red, yellow is playing as yellow. And each player will get 4 cyclists, which you'll place on the start here. So there's yellow, red, and blue over here at the starting line with all of their cyclists. Take this little pedestal, place it within reach of all players, and set aside all remaining cards that you won't be utilizing. Then each player will draw 5 cards from the deck here, and the game is ready to begin. The tour is played in a classic sense, basically meaning you're going to start by having a number of cards in hand. Beginning of turn, you're always going to draw 2 cards from this deck here. If it ever runs out, you'll reshuffle it and then draw. And you will then choose to do one of 3 actions. Action 1 is simple. You'll take a number of cards, any number you'd like, select them and place them to the discard pile. I chose 3 2s, totaling 6, and I'll move one of my bicyclists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces on the game board. And if I would have liked, I could have increased that number. Maybe I'd play another 3 and a 1 for 4 more spaces to move myself up on the game board that many more spaces. I can dump my entire hand if I want to. I can dump 1 card, 2. It's really up to you. And that is how you move cyclists on this game board. Additionally, you can choose to do a different action. Like, for instance, I can exchange cards in my hand for 3 various cards. There's the sprint card for 6, the climb card for 7, and the draft card for 8. Meaning that if I wanted a sprint card, I could discard 3 2s and take the sprint card into my hand. There are a limited number of sprint, climb, and draft cards, which means if they are not available, you cannot choose to exchange your cards for them. They count as a card in your hand. They have obviously the same backing, and they'll go into your hand for a later turn. You may not exchange cards for additional sprint, climb, and draft cards. It's 1 at a time, once per turn. And then the last thing that you can do, other than exchanging these cards here, is you can choose to send off your draft card for draft tokens. So on a later turn after drawing a draft card or obtaining one, you can spend that placing it back in the pool just like you do with the rest of them, and you would get 3 of these draft tokens. These will let you use pelotons, basically the stack of bicyclists together to move. Normally you can only move one at a time, but when you have these guys, you can spend 1 each in order to move those guys across the field. And so you're able to, basically on one of your turns, spend 8, take a draft card. On the next turn, you can then sacrifice that card back into the pool to gain 3 draft. And on the following turn, let's say you had a stack of these guys here, and you are blue, so you obviously have more bicyclists here, you can spend a number of cards, let's say I spent 7 here, and a token back into the pool to move a number of spaces equal to the amount that you spent with the entire peloton, which is the group of bikes. And that is pretty much all the options you have on your turn. The last thing that you can technically choose to do is nothing. You just draw 2 cards and you can choose to pass on your turn, as opposed to doing one of the exchanges or discarding cards to move your bicyclists. Okay, well, let's talk about some of the unique aspects to the game now that you get the basic idea. Well, sprinting, climbing, and drafting. We already talked about drafting. That's you take the card, you spend the card for the draft tokens, you spend the draft tokens, each of them individually to move a peloton, a group of bicyclists, once per turn. And when you're out of them, you have to go back and do it again. There are also unique structures on the game board. Sprinting structures have a long raceway and have a number on them associated with an energy cost. If you would like, you can reduce that cost to 1 for each of the spaces, provided you play a sprint on the turn you utilize the specific location. So if I'm yellow here, and I've got my cards in hand, and I want to move across this structure with this bike, normally it would be 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1. But if I were to play this sprint card here, I could discard this card, and now instead I can spend 6 here, and play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And move directly across it for only 1 for each location. Now, some of them obviously are going to have a higher energy cost than others. Regardless, though, when you play a sprint card, whatever these numbers are will suddenly become 1. If you don't have a sprint card, you can still move through it, but it will be the cost of the energy. As opposed to just 1 for a singular space in general, these spaces now cost 3, these cost 5, and these cost 4. So be aware that sprint cards can be beneficial, but there is a turn you'll have to take previously in order to gain a sprint card to use that card on your turn to move across. And if you played a sprint card on the previous turn, it will not count for your next turn. You have to play another sprint card, per se, if there was another highway in which you'd have to cross. And also, if you have 2 highways that are connected to each other on a run, you would not be able to use the same sprint card for both. The last card is the climb card. The climb card is 1 additional cost. I would have to discard 7 here in order to pick it up, and just like the sprint and climb would go to my hand for use for a later turn. And when I want to use that climb card, on my next turn I would draw those 2 cards. I would then spend the climb card just like any other card, and then I'd be able to utilize the cards in hand, here I have 4, to move that number of spaces going uphill. And each space would count as 1 as opposed to 5. Otherwise, you must spend the cost associated with the unique specific location that you are playing with. Technically, the climb and sprint cards are the same in terms of what they do, but they operate on using different structures. And there you go. Those are the main aspects for the game. The last thing that you need to know is as your cyclists will go across the game board, they're going to reach the end. And when they do, they're going to go onto this pedestal here based on the place in which they reach the end. And you'll place them from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And when all of the cyclists reach the end, that will end the game and you'll score up a number of points equal to your racers and which place they got into. And whoever has the most points is the winner. Okay, so now there's a unique aspect to the game that I want to cover, and the unique aspect is you're able to create pelotons. Pelotons are unique groups of racers that you can connect to. On one turn, if I were to spend 5 points, moving myself 5 spaces, on my next turn I could then also spend 5 and move my racer up, and then they would connect. They'd actually go on top of each other, and you can have a total of 5 racers in a peloton, which is a group of racers. This is going to allow you to move more than 1 racer on a turn utilizing your cards, but it will cost you a draft token, which we talked about. And so you'll be able to spend 1 of these tokens here, and then you can move, 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that will take all of your racers, including any additional carry-ons that you have to bring with you, like your friends kind of attaching themselves to your peloton. But what you can also do is you can take your racer off on your turn and move them individually by spending energy cards. So maybe, for instance, if I saw that blue was kind of stacking their characters up and I know that they're going to use this space, I can move my yellow onto here. And then when they move their characters across, I can then pull my yellow off and move him separately on a later turn. There's only a few other rules to how pelotons work. One of them in being is that if I have a racer, and let's say that I want to move to the space that the peloton is on, I don't. I'll actually move to the space previous and lose out on any extra space, the extra space I would have taken, because you can never have more than 5 on here. You can, however, go past them. And the racer on the bottom is the racer who is ahead of others. So for instance, if this peloton were to be here and finish the race, the first, second, and third place would go to blue, followed with fourth being red and fifth being yellow. So being on the bottom of a peloton is important when it comes to placement, when it comes to bringing these guys across the raceway. And of course, you have to have a token for each time you move a peloton. So if I wanted to move this guy from here to here, I'd spend a token, and then another token, and another token. And in order to do that, you're gonna have to play a draft card, and get these tokens that you need. And you'll get 3 each, but there's a limited number of tokens in this pool here, so if you run out, then you're gonna have to wait. And there you go. That's the basic game of Tour de Colligo. There are a few expanded content in the game here. You have the orange and the green locations on this board, and there may be additional on the Kickstarter campaign. You'll have to check out for yourself. I didn't play it. I don't know the rules for it, but more content is always good. So as I was explaining previously, Tour de Colligo is a classic style game. It is a game in which you'll draw cards, play those cards, and either move your cyclists or move your group of cyclists a number of spaces, and your objective is to spend your resources to reach the end. Utilizing your opponent's grouping of racers to benefit your own, utilizing your own stack of unique racers to benefit yourself only and kind of block out your opponents, and of course utilizing these cards like drafting, climbing, and sprinting to the best of your benefit. This game is highly based on not only how you choose to utilize your cards and when to spend certain cards to move certain racers, but also the luck you get when it comes to pulling cards from this deck. This deck has a number of values in it, whether it be 1, 3, 5, 2, etc., etc. I believe the highest is 5 you can get in the deck, and it is random. You'll just draw 2 cards and hope that those 2 cards are going to give you the highest value. So it's got that classic feel, right? Drawing cards and there's luck involved. You might not get as many good cards as other players, and that might significantly reduce your chances of winning, in which case you'll have to backpack off of your opponents who have better cards. So even with this big stack here is blue, you'd think that taking a draft card, then using it for tokens and spending your tokens, just simply move this all the way across the game board might be to your benefit. But if you do not draw the best numbered cards, you might actually have to start and think about moving your characters onto your opponent's spaces with multiple cyclists in order for them to move you across to get closer to victory. Additionally, you might think about pulling yourself off of certain stacks. So for instance, if I got a stack like this and I'm blue, I'm not going to get first place, but I could pull myself off here and move myself to the finish line getting first, because each of these spaces here are going to be worth a number of points. First place will give you 30, second 25, third 22, and it gets significantly closer in score the farther along you get. So a 5-point difference for first and second place, but on 9 and 10, it's only a 1-point difference. So obviously, trying to get first can be a great advantage to you in the game if need be. The game also revolves around you having to select from a pool of cards and there only being a number that exist in the game. So if you don't have draft cards and other people do, in order for them to move a full unit, they're going to probably have to move your own unit. And if you can't afford these or can't get them, you have to work to make sure that you're able to join people who do have them so that they will use them to progress you to victory. And it is a way in which you can win the game by working with other cyclists. This game has kind of a luck aspect to it. It's got a smart style of kind of getting the characters onto the spaces you need them to get onto to kind of benefit you with your opponents. More players for this game is better. It plays 3 to 5, but really I would suggest 4 or 5 for this game. With 3 players, it tends to kind of separate you from being able to kind of utilize other people's stacks as much, and people kind of creating their own stacks on their own and just pushing through the game board. With more players, it starts putting a lot more pressure on people to work with each other non-consensually work with each other in order for you to get to the end of the racetrack here. So more players, more chaos, more mayhem is going to be better in this game. This is also a cyclist game that I haven't actually seen a whole lot of games in the industry on it when it comes to bicyclists. There's like one that I played that was kind of from like the 90s, so similar to Initial Day. This one plays a lot more like the classic style games, so. But it comes with some beautiful components. The beautiful mat is really detailed and very simple to understand. The cards are not only exceptionally high quality, but they're also easy to read. And then this board here, when it comes to gathering cards from your pool and placing them into your hand and remembering who has what, everything is excellent, high quality stuff. Now this is a sample product and things may change, but as I see it here, it's very likely that most of this will stay in the production because of how nice everything is. Even the game board, which has the little podium stand, your cards themselves are beautiful, and pieces like this that tell you your color, which aren't even needed to exist. You can just have a little card that does that. Instead, they went the extra mile. The box itself coming with a beautiful insert as well to illustrate where to place all of your pieces and where they go. Nice insert is a very, very big plus. People who like classic games, who like games that are more in the gateway style of games, are going to enjoy Tour de Colligo. People who enjoy the idea of kind of forcibly having to work with each other at a disadvantage to some players in certain instances and an advantage to others in different instances as well, will enjoy this game. It is a ruthless game and helpful game, kind of all mixed into one. If you don't like luck-based games, this will not be for you. And obviously, like I've mentioned a million times, the classic style feel of the game, it probably won't be for you as well. But if you enjoy a high-quality game that's a gateway game, anybody can play, it's easy to understand, the rules are very simple, it's a game you can teach in 2 minutes and jump in and play, you're going to love to play this game. The high-quality components and the beautiful style of the game and the unique thematic aspects of the game are wonderful. The one suggestion I would also make is a map that has a smaller raceway that uses different speedways, smaller ones, maybe including additional extra ones, but extra maps would be nice. Ones that would include additional things to the game would be nice. And to modernize it a bit, including cards that maybe they have a low number count, but do something unique with them. Maybe if it's only a 1, it'll give you a bonus if your character is behind a number of racers that are 5 steps ahead, and give you a +2 when that specific instance arises. So there's some catch-up mechanic involved. Or maybe cards that will disrupt a peloton, a group of racers. Maybe you have a stack of racers here and you're blue and you have a ton of dudes that are just kind of all over the game board here. If there's a way that you can kind of jump on board this thing and then it like kind of breaks up in some unique way, that'll slow players down who are kind of ahead in the game by having these extra values from the cards in their deck. Pretty much anything that modernizes the game is always going to get my vote, and there's a lot of little simple ways they can do that or include additional cards at a later date to kind of advance the game. Right here, this is just a straightforward entry gateway game that involves drawing cards and moving your cyclists and pelotons to the end, and whoever scores the most points is the player who gets the farthest to the end the quickest is the winner in the game, and it works great. There's going to be a huge audience for this game, for people who enjoy those styles of games. For me, it's right down the middle, solid little fun adventure game, moving your bikes across the field. If they make some modernized aspects to some of the cards though, it's going to be excellent. We'll see what they do in the campaign though, because there are additional aspects to the game that I haven't tried yet. And that might even change my opinion even further to the positive side. But overall, really cool little game and very, very well designed. Thank you guys for watching another Unfiltered Gamer board game review, this one for Tour de Colligo. And if you're interested, there's a link down below in the description, which I believe it should be on Kickstarter now or very, very soon. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and see what extra content they might have. And I'm hoping soon, maybe it won't be for this one here, but maybe they'll do a little update if the game does well to add some additional action cards that can be put into the deck here, or drafts and climbs that can be turned into a deck with unique aspects to them as well. It's got all the ripeties to make it even more modern than just the style and appeal of the game. But it'll be up to you. If you want to pick this game up, let us know in the description, the comments, tell us what you think about a game like this. For us, right down the middle, solid little game though. I really, really enjoyed it. You can go ahead and hit the like button, the subscribe button, the bell notification button, all those other good things that normally you probably won't do, but if you do, I do appreciate it. We do a live stream every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. PST, and this would be a great one to do with 5 players because it turns into complete chaos and it's very easy to see. So we might actually do that one of these weekends. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I look forward to getting my Peloton and cyclists across the finish line before you do.